quickly communicate our public health concerns. We didn't know how to test, on what frequency, things like that. Quarantine standards. Where should students go when they are inflicted with virus? So we had to figure all of that out. We got an advisory committee of the best and brightest here at Temple University. They advised me, we communicated to you, the board, and we got through it. We were on campus fall semester and spring semester. Against what people thought we were going to be able to do. Our rates were lower than just about every other school across the country. And we did the educational and learning experience here at Temple in a very model way. So that was successful. Number two, gun violence. There's an epidemic going on, as I've said many times, across the country, in urban centers around this country, and in particular in Philadelphia. It's been a really hard year, more homicides in Philadelphia than ever before in this year. And so we, being in the urban center of North Philadelphia, were influenced by that. As I said to Sam Collington's parent, Sam Collington is the Temple student who was tragically shot and killed a few blocks off campus here. When I went to visit his parents after that incident, they asked whether we, the board and the senior administration of Temple University, were going to do something to honor his life, to make sure that students were going to be safer moving forward. And we have done so much. And there's a laundry list of things that we have done to do that, from increasing our own police force to raising the senior level to a vice president. We're going to have a vice president of public safety probably announced by 10 in a couple of weeks here. So we have done a lot of new programming, invested a lot more resources. Gun violence is going to continue in this country. It's going to continue in the city of Philadelphia. We're working with political officials. We're working with community members. We're investing more resources. But we should be proud that we have combated this epidemic as well or better than any of our peers. So we're proud of that. Mental health. So when I talk to our peers across the country in university, mental health is the number one issue. I know we talk about it a lot. It's nebulous. It's hard for people to get their arms around exactly what it means and how it affects us as a campus. But mental health is the number one concern facing young people and facing young people on campuses, bar none. And we are not immune to that. We should have, if we wanted to serve our students, we should have a resource, a mental health resource for every single student. 38,000 students. We should have a resource for them. We don't. Nobody does. And we're working towards being able to satisfy that moving forward. This year, we got a task force stood up for mental health. We created more avenues for awareness, education. We got more resources and providers. So again, we answered that call very dramatically and successfully. And the student results, the surveys that they're submitting to us say, of course, they want more, but they are so satisfied and happy with what we were able to do with this number one problem on campuses. Number four, structure and strategy. So we reshaped our leadership team. We built a strategy from what we have been working on with Trustee Charles and the whole strategy leadership team over the last couple of years. We now bring it to a head at this moment. Progress and Vandell has been working on that. So now we're able to start the good work of knowing what our priorities are, communicating it to across our board, across the Temple University community, raising money against those priorities, budgeting against those priorities, really executing in a way that will move us to the next level. You heard about some of those things already with joint venture project and with conference realignment, other things that we are actually working on right now under that umbrella. Community engagement is number 5. Our esteemed trustee, former trustee, Paulette, he said to me, and he says to me every week, the way to success for Temple University is to better engage with our communities, not just the community here in North Philadelphia, but all over the city, all over the world. But he really means specifically the community here in North Philadelphia where we reside. And so we have spent a lot of time and effort, probably as much time as anything, engaging with our community this year. And this year has meant a lot of listening. So we've listened, we've heard where the concerns are, we have continued to do the programming and the efforts that we've been doing historically, which have been very good, but we're now more knowledgeable about what the community really wants. And we're poised to really bake that in. Some of the things we did this year is we met with the Black clergy, we spent a day with them, here around campus. We've met with block captains, went on a bike tour and saw residents here in this community and talked to block captains and political officials. We met with gang leaders and barbershops. We've met with nonprofit organizations. We've brought CEOs from the region here to North Philadelphia. So we've really been trying to figure out how we can be a better ambassador and a better partner here in our community. We hosted when Fairmount had that fire and they tragically lost 12 lives. We hosted that funeral, as you know, here at the Leopold Center in Philadelphia. So we're doing all that we can to be better stewards of our community, and this year was a tremendous leap for that. Number 6 of 8, anti-Semitism. We talked a lot on campus and with this board about discriminatory behavior on campus, both perceived and real. We took it as a major challenge, a major priority for us this year. And I'm really pleased to say that the seriousness with which we took it resulted in a couple of action items that are really getting us on the right foot and building around foundation for us to make it better moving forward. We established a Blue Ribbon Commission consisting of members from this region and around the country who are real leaders in anti-Semitism and discriminatory behavior. They have advised us on things that we need to do moving forward, some of which we're already doing, others that we can implement. One of which was for us to go to the Middle East. So we took a delegation from Temple. We went to Israel and Jordan and had a chance to learn from our counterparts at many universities over there, and even met with the president of Israel in order to get feedback on how we can better enhance our campus and work better with some of the other universities, not only in Israel, but around the world. So we're starting that process with the Blue Ribbon Commission, and we have great results to report on from this year and many more to go moving forward. Number 7 is around branding. And you all know that this is my pet peeve. We are so excellent at Temple University in so many ways, and we don't do a good enough job telling people about the good work that we're doing. We invest all of our time and energy in doing the good work and not enough in extolling the great work that we're doing and telling people about it. So we started that process this year, developed a new brand campaign, which we will launch now in this coming year to be able to tell people through op-eds, through advertising, through other kinds of messaging platforms and merchandise, all kinds of things. You all will be involved in that. So Mitch, you went around the board and we talked about how we're going to get the board involved in a lot of different things. One of them is going to be to be better brand ambassadors for us, to tell the stories about where excellence lies at Temple University. And then number 8, last but not least, and Trustee Greenberg told us about it, is board governance. Under the leadership of our chairman, Mitch Morgan, you all approved of and are supporting this notion that our board is going to be best in class. And so taking a look at our bylaws, taking a look at how we operate, our practices, the way in which you all are going to be engaged, we want to do that as well as or better than anyone else, which is going to be difficult, but we started that process this year, and the ad hoc committee on Trustee Greenberg's leadership has really put us in a good place for that. So that was a truly brilliant instance of leading from the top. So in summary, what I will say is that for the last couple of years, I've been really proud to see and hear how the board has stabilized this university. There were some challenges that the university faced the last couple of years, and so focusing on and prioritizing stabilization of this university for the university and the health system was a key priority. We're in a good place with respect to that right now. And so now that we have that foundation of stabilization, it's time to, as our chairman has said, take Temple to the next level. And what does taking Temple to the next level mean? Well, it means that we want to improve the excellence that we already have, but it's going to mean change also, right? And so what I'm proud to say is that by working with all of you, we are embracing this notion of change management. I'm a leadership scholar, and so I know that change management means that people are going to resist it, people are going to resent it, people are going to kind of fight against it. And so your job is to make sure that we steadfastly stay committed to moving forward this university, even though there's going to be an aggressive change management process. My job as president is to make sure that I don't let inertia set in, that we keep moving. There's going to be a lot of criticism and there's going to be a lot of resistance to it, as I said before, but there's also going to be a lot of success and impact. And we've already seen that this year. So if we can keep riding on that as we move forward, we'll be in good shape. So I want to thank the board and I want to thank the staff for a very, very good year. In spite of all of these unprecedented challenges, we have a lot more work to do, but we got a good foundation for building ourselves to the great future. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Wingard.
Moving on to approval of the minutes for the May 16th meeting. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Moving to the standing committees, Budget and Finance, Trustee Gould.
Mr. Chairman, you skipped one. There at the very top.
Correct. Revision to the Temple University bylaws.
So I can,
We don't take that.
would you like me to read that, Mr. Chairman? I'll read it for purposes of you making the motion.
Right.
That the Board of Trustees amend and restate the bylaws of Temple University as set forth in Agenda Reference 1, effective immediately following the adjournment of this meeting. Provided, however, that the initial appointments to the standing committee shall be made by the Ad Hoc Committee on Board Governance in consultation with the Chair of the Board, and thereafter as reflected in the revised bylaws, and provided further that the Secretary, in consultation with the Chief Compliance Officer and the Chair, may make such non-substantive or grammatical edits as may be appropriate or desired.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move to number 2. Trustee Gould.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees adopt the university operating budget for 2022-2023 as set forth in Agenda Reference 2, and I so move.
Have a motion? Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution to select a spending rule for endowment assets as set forth in Agenda Reference 3, and I so move.
Second.
Having a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Trustee Gould. Moving on to Temple University Health System, Trustee Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Board of Directors of Temple University Health System, Inc., and adopt the Temple University Health System, Inc. capital and operating budgets for fiscal year 2022-2023 as further set forth in Agenda Reference 4.
Second.
Having a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Trustee Marshall. Moving on to Alumni Relations and Development Committee, Trustee, who is that? Paul.
Yeah, Paul's fine.
Trustee, I said.
On behalf of the Alumni Relations and Development Committee, Trustee Cursillo has 3 recommendations to be made to the chairman and the board. The first is the establishment of an endowed fund in the Tyler School of Art and Architecture as set forth in Agenda Reference 5.
Motion?
So moved.
A second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Second recommendation is to approve the naming of a gallery space in the Tyler School of Art and Architecture as set forth in Agenda Reference 6.
Move it.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And third, we have a recommendation to approve the naming of a classroom in the Beasley School of Law as set forth in Agenda Reference 7.
So moved.
Second.
Having a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And Paul, I'm going to learn to pronounce your last name after I learn to pronounce our new student president. Person.
No problem. Paul works just fine. Chairman Morgan, thank you very much for the recommendations. And with that, we move on.
Thank you. Moving to Academic Affairs, Trustee Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee upon the recommendation of the Provost that the officers be authorized to revise the establishment of named chairs and professorships as further set forth in Agenda Reference 8.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The other item is that I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee upon the recommendation of the Provost that the officers be authorized to revise the establishment of distinguished professorship policy as further set forth in Agenda Reference 9.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, trustee Marshall. Moving to facilities, trustee Cardino.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of the Facilities Committee for items 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, as set forth in the Board of Trustees public session outline. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Moving to the treasurer's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The recommendation that the investment reports for the 3 months ended March 31st, 2022, and grants and contracts awarded between January 1st, 2022, and March 31st, 2022 be received. Said report being included and identified as set forth in Agenda Reference 16.
Move it.
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ken. Moving to the secretary's report. Michael Gephardt.
Recommendation, Mr. Chairman, is that the Board of Trustees approve the presentation of degrees in course dated October 29th, 2022 to candidates approved by the appropriate academic committees of the faculty in the Tsinghua LLM program in Beijing, China.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Michael Gephardt. Moving to the guest speakers. President of Faculty Senate, Professor Williams Witherspoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. President, Provost Mandel, and distinguished guest. As always, I bring you greetings on behalf of the Faculty Senate Executive Committee with our new Vice President, Dr. Sheree Amini, and Dr. Kaiser Abdullah, our Secretary, the Faculty Senate Steering Committee, and the faculty at large. While classes are running both in person and online for summer 1 and 2, typically, most of our faculty use this time to work on their creative projects, individual research agendas, and to do field research, prepare grant applications, and work on publications. Because we have had, for all intent and purposes, 2 solid years of stressful pivots and dealing with the dual pandemics of COVID and a rise in civil violence, many of our Temple community, students, faculty, and staff, have had mental health and wellness issues that have also required a real attention to taking advantage of downtime, because as we know, workplace and classroom burnout is real, so that it is still an ongoing concern that we will take into the new academic year. We look forward to movement on this next phase of the strategic planning initiatives, and for faculty to have a real voice in that process. As well as I am also looking forward to meeting and working with the provost on the prioritized shared faculty governance recommendations that the Faculty Senate Steering Committee prepared and submitted this year at the request of President Wingard. As faculty continue to inquire in emails to the Senate as to the status of some of those recommendations, we are hoping to publicly address those initiatives in the Faculty Senate meetings in the fall. As I have previously mentioned, I am part of a Pennsylvania Leadership Committee of Faculty Senate presidents from our peer institutions, Penn State, University of Pittsburgh, and Lincoln University. And we were all really concerned that Harrisburg was trying to hold up our collective appropriations because of some of our faculty research agendas. And while we were very happy to see that that move was defeated last Wednesday, we are cautiously watching what is happening at the University of Pittsburgh with regard to research. And finally, from my own department, as I'm sure you have already heard, MFA acting alum James Imes, currently a professor at Villanova University, was recently awarded the Pulitzer Prize for his play Fat Ham, his adaptation of Shakespeare's Hamlet. I saw him at the stage reading of another one of our alums, Danye Love, at the Suzanne Roberts Theater earlier spring semester. And while James was never officially one of my students, he came up to hug me and whispered in my ear, "Look at all the playwrights you made." We are incredibly proud of our Temple alums. And with that in mind, we are looking forward to another stellar academic year to do our part to turn out even more acres of diamonds. So with that, that completes my report.
Thank you very much. You always inspire me.
You inspire me, so I'm trying to be like you. There's it.
Moving to,
Whoa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Right now, students are eagerly waiting to return to campus for the upcoming semester, which should be, I anticipate, our first COVID-free semester, our first COVID, or a return to normal. And we are very, TSG is working diligently throughout the summer in preparation for this new semester, planning events, working with our administrative contacts and faculty in coordination and collaboration for these upcoming engagement with the student body, and also to promote resources, services, and opportunities available to the student body at Temple. Students are especially looking forward to the Homecoming and Family Week this upcoming semester and the investiture ceremony for President Wingard. And we look forward to the new academic year, and we welcome the class of 2026, which, based on my interaction with some of the members of class of 2026 and also the new incoming classes, I have never seen students more willing and more ready and eager to get involved and engaged on campus through new opportunities and different services. And TSG is looking forward to collaborating with these new classes and bringing forth a very engaged student body. As Dr. Wingard said in his president's report, it is a top priority of TSG to promote Temple University as the powerhouse university that it is, in both the regional and national and even global scale. And we are prepared to help the university in any way achieve that. And with the students more involved than ever, we are looking forward to potentially new avenues of engagement with the Board of Trustees and the university as well. Thank you.
great, thank you. We welcome your involvement. So before I go to old new business, I do want to tell you about the opportunity I had with our president to address the 80+ football players of Temple University football team. Now, as everyone knows, I know nothing about football. Our president suggested that I just talk about who I am and what brought me to Temple. And first, I talked about the fact that I sold shoes in North Philadelphia, worked full-time selling shoes, and went full-time undergraduate accounting at law school at night, and kept my head down and a little bit of business and built a wonderful family. But I said to these young men, and they were really prepared, as the coaches made sure they were prepared. They all sat up straight. They all had a pencil and paper. They all asked really good questions. And it was really exciting for me because I said to them, at the end of the day, yes, we want you to win, but we want you to graduate. And that's more important. And if you make it to the NFL, you're what are you going to have? 10 years? 5 years? If you don't make it to the NFL, if you make it to the NFL, if you have your college degree, you will have it for life. And with education, great equal master. I said, I sold shoes in North Philadelphia. If I didn't go to Temple, I'd probably be still selling shoes in North Philadelphia. So a wonderful opportunity for me not to talk about football, but to talk about our mission. And then I asked the one question, which I thought was amazing. Or someone asked me the question, how much money do you make as chairman of the board? So I said, what do you think? And one kid said like $2 million, and one said 500,000, one said $1 million. And I said, zero. They went, huh? You do it for nothing? Okay? And that's what we do. So I want to thank all the trustees.
You have to give.
And speaking of giving, I just want to thank Sandy again for starting our quiet campaign for her $2 million commitment at the university. It's going to go a long way. I want to thank you again. Is there any old new business? We're going to have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Everyone.